Tyree. Here's Tyree with the lane. Tyree! Whoa! Can he get there? Tyree at the 30, 20, 10, touchdown, Notre Dame! Woo! 98 big ones!
What is up, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
And I am Ryan, Week Zero Productions for Vel.
And this is the Two Irish Brothers show live. So far, we have nobody watching yet. Hopefully, that's going to change. Hopefully, when Ben gets the chance, he will be able to join us here, hopefully sooner rather than later. So we wanted to do this little special show for you guys because, well, we got to do something. I mean, Notre Dame's not in the conference or not being in the conference. Well, holy crap, look who's just showing up.
What's going on, Ben?
How much are you?
Hey, now the trio is complete. Both the Two Irish Brothers are here along with Ryan. So now, yeah, it's a show now, baby.
We got all the boys together, man.
Yeah, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. So nice that you were able to make it, Ben. I know you had to watch your kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she excuse me. I'm sure she probably wouldn't have much to offer on the sites or on the opinions of things going on in college football right now.
No.
So yeah, it's about to be halftime of the SEC championship, which I have on right now, and I don't know how much you guys have been watching, but it is a just
dog walking right now.
Yeah, it's
35, tiger walking, if you want to say that.
35-7 Georgia with 18 seconds left.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody figured that to be.
Yeah. I mean, you like to think that some teams could surprise the other, but I wasn't anticipating on that happen. I figured Kirby Smart would have his guys ready to play, and this was going to get ugly.
Purdue has a better shot at beating Michigan than LSU did beating Georgia. So
now you feel Dan or Ryan, you feel strongly about that Big Ten championship team.
Oh yeah, I took Purdue. I think Purdue's going to win this game. I think it's going to be tight, but I don't think Michigan without Blake Corum. I know they had that performance against Ohio State, and JJ McCarthy, quote unquote, proved that he can beat you deep, but he was also throwing against one of the worst secondaries in college football the last couple years. So Purdue has a solid defense, and they utterly dominated Illinois. And I just kind of look at who you guys have played, like similar opponents, and Michigan should have lost to Illinois. So I don't know. That still scares me, and I think Purdue could easily get the dub.
Well, it's funny. Ben and I were in the stands for Boston College when Illinois and Michigan were playing, and I had like three guys around me asking, "Hey, what's Illinois score? What's the Illinois score?" And when I told them that Michigan won on the field goal, they got, it was like telling the fat kid that he couldn't have any more candy. They just got so depressed,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that was everybody. I mean, me and Lucas, we're not even I'm a Notre Dame fan. He's an Oregon fan. And we were sitting there like, dude, we love Chase Brown so much. Like Illinois, we would love for them to make the Big Ten title. We even rooted against Purdue last week because we're like, dude, all Illinois needs is to beat the crap out of Northwestern and have Purdue lose. And sad, man. Would have loved Illinois to get another shot, but.
Well, that's the thing in the world of college football. When you get your shots, you got to take them because they're probably the only shot you're going to get. You're not normally going to get another chance.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Chase Brown is done for the year either. So it probably wouldn't have mattered because that was their entire team, was that kid. So,
but so we got the actually LSU's lined up for a 42-yard field goal.
Watch it get blocked and returned for another kick six.
I wouldn't be shocked at that. So we got the conference title games going on right now, but I thought this would be a good topic for all of us to discuss. So Drew Pine enters the transfer portal. So that quarterback room is a little empty at the moment right now, just Buckner and Jelly. And I'm talking about guys who actually have a chance to start and play.
Hey, man, don't sleep on Ron Paulus. Don't sleep on him, man.
Well, listen, I have an autographed jersey from his dad, so I'm not trying to diss the kid, but as I've said many times, he's not the same as his dad.
Oh.
Then again, we haven't had a chance to really see him play, so what do I know? So what were your thoughts, Ben, when you saw that news?
You
Ben,
good?
can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can. You were like lagging pretty good.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I was just wanted to ask you, what did you think when you heard the news
The
of
Pine news?
Yeah, the Pine
I'm
news.
shocked. I'm pretty shocked by it, to be honest. I thought that he would stay, I guess, with Freeman basically saying that Buckner's their guy. I guess it's Pine's on the way out. So pretty crazy to me.
Well, and the thing is, we knew that with how loaded this quarterback room is going to be in a couple years, somebody was leaving, and now we know who that is.
Yeah,
because in a couple years, well, actually next year, you're going to have Buckner, you're going to have Angeli. We are likely going to get a quarterback in the transfer portal. Then you're going to have Kenny Minshew's coming in, who was the commitment to Pitt. And then a year after that, you're going to have CJ Carr in here. So it's going to be a loaded quarterback room pretty damn quick.
yeah.
So I mean, even after that, somebody could transfer. Who knows?
I'd probably say it'd be either Stephen Jelly or Tyler Buckner, depending on what next season brings. But as I was telling Sean, and like before our show, before we went live, it's like Pine was kind of the guy that you'd least expect. It's weird because it's like you'd least expect it just because of his personality. You know, the fact he grew up a Notre Dame fan, idolized Brady Quinn, wanted to wear number 10 for that reason. Said all the right things. You know, I could tell he loved Notre Dame. I could tell he poured his heart and soul into the university and the football program. But I think it was also he was the guy that you would most understand if he wanted to leave.
Oh, for sure.
Out of him and Buckner, it's like, you know, Buckner, it's like, dude, if you just got you got injured, you haven't played much, you're probably going to get a shot at the starting job next year. But at Pine, it's like he would be the guy that, like, if he stayed, I would almost feel bad because it's like you know that he would most likely fall on the depth chart. Just because everybody is coming in, you know, the coaches already want Buckner to start the bowl game now. But no, like I said, I don't like, you know, that you guys have talked about it. Me and Sean have talked about it. That percentage of our fan base that is just toxic. The minute that he had said he wanted to transfer, everybody's attacking him, saying, you know, good riddance. We didn't want you anyway. You're a trash quarterback. Good luck being a backup somewhere else, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, come on. Like, you think this is going to want kids to stay at Notre Dame now when they see this is how you act? When a guy wants to make a better decision for himself going forward?
Yeah.
It's like, it's so embarrassing as a fan seeing him post this heartfelt message about how it was a really hard decision for him to leave. And this is how this small percentage of our fan base acts, and they just flood this guy's Twitter mentions with toxicity when we should be saying, hey, thank you for turning the season around. Thank you for everything you've done for this team. We wish you luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember one thing too, that 1%, you know, it's like the old saying goes, misery loves company. Nothing will ever be good enough to make these people happy, because it's like I've said numerous times, you know, and you even said it just now, they were crapping on him every game that he played. And it's not shocking that it's not shock. I shouldn't say it's not shocking, but it's really confusing more. It's like, well, okay, why do you want him to stay if you hate him so much?
Yeah,
That's what the confusing part is.
They were calling for Angeli to start. Like you wanted an Angeli to
Exactly.
start, man. And I was like, before they announced yesterday that Buckner was going to start the bowl game, I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, you got what you guys wanted. You wanted Angeli to start, right? Well, guess what? True freshman's going to start the bowl game. That's what you guys wanted.
Yeah.
But they're going to get away with that because now Buckner's going to play. But
Well, but even if Buckner starts, they're gonna complain about something. They're gonna start trashing on him now.
what are they going to complain and say? Oh, we should put Ron Paulus out there. It's like, come on, man. Like,
You, there's just people that are always going to be crap. They're always going to be miserable. Nothing's ever going to be good enough. And
the worst part about those fans is when everything's going bad, they're the only ones talking trash about these kids and doing stupid stuff like death threats and stuff. But then the minute we get a win like Clemson or we get wins against like a North Carolina, where are those fans at? Nowhere to be found.
Yep.
Nowhere to be found.
I told Sean, it's funny. Those fans are the ones that, if it was a Michigan fan, if it was a USC fan walking down the street and they took a shot at Notre Dame, they'd be the first to defend Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
But they aren't the ones that defend them online, quote unquote.
Yep.
So.
It kind of pissed me off a little bit because somebody the other night, like during the USC game last night when things weren't going so hot, I left a comment. I think it was on Twitter or Facebook, one of the two. And listen, I'm behind this team all the way, but I'm still a fan. I get angry when they screw up. I actually had somebody compare me to these fans that I hate, and I'm like, no, I'm with this team. But when they play bad, I'm going to say so.
Yeah.
The difference between them and you, Sean, the difference, though, is that you sit here and you give constructive criticism from what you see as a fan watching the game. You do it to the coaches and you do it to the players. But what you don't do, what these other people do, is say, oh, Freeman needs to be fired after the first two games. Oh, right. Freeman is so over his head. He has no business being a college football coach. Oh, Buckner is terrible. Pine is terrible. Put in Angeli. I'm done watching this team. This team is garbage.
I thought, no, I've never said, I've certainly never said that. I mean, I've definitely said that I think Tommy needs to be on the hot seat and he probably needs to go because he's been so inconsistent these past 3 years. He's had his
But that's also because he's had 3 years and he hasn't improved. That's understandable. But to sit there and be like, oh, Freeman's over his head. Dude, obviously you knew going into this season that it was going to be an adjustment for him because he's never been a head coach before. But to sit there and give up on the team, I've seen fans give up on this team after week 1. And it's like, dude, we're playing Ohio State. Like,
in the horseshoe.
Week 1 with a first-year starting quarterback and a first-year head coach. It's like our fans are like those percentage of fans are like Bama level toxic, but even Alabama fans aren't that entitled. Like they still support their team. They're 10-2, and they still support their team. That's a terrible year for Bama in terms of like not being in the playoff every year.
Yeah, what they've been doing in the last.
You don't see their fans sitting there complaining and crying about, oh, we're 10-2, blah 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 blah. Like I haven't heard anything from Bama fans this year at all. Like they're kind of quiet right now. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's so frustrating, and it's like now seeing that, I understand why the national perception of our fan base is what it is.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You
hate seeing it, but it's like if you have a certain percentage of our fans that are going to act like that, then it is, the thing is the big mouths get heard the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was you, Ben, that was telling me that.
Well, it's you people hear the negative as opposed to the positive, and that's why the phrase goes, if it bleeds, it leads. But yeah. So anyway, Walter says, not so fast, my friend. I may hate Michigan, but I have them winning big.
I respect that.
I mean, no, this game, in my opinion, it goes one of two ways. It's either a really, really close game and either Michigan pulls it off at the very end or Purdue does, or it goes just Michigan comes out firing on all cylinders and just blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope Purdue wins, but I don't know. Michigan pretty dang good this year.
hopefully the Big Ten takes advantage of the NCAA's ruling that conferences no longer have to have divisions.
Yeah. You have an
Like
8 and
maybe
4 team. It's like, but
Yeah.
what's weird this year, it's like we've talked about it with the Pac-12, the ACC, the Big 12 at times. It's like those are usually the conferences that you could see a 3-loss, 4-loss team get in there. But I don't know. I can't. You'd have to look back, but I don't know if there's ever been a year in college football where you've had at least a 3-loss team in all 5 Power 5 championship games, in every single one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's
I'd have to check the archives on that one.
that
Yeah.
has to be paid. That just shows how weird this season has been.
Well, and the thing is, you can just see it in a little bit of history here. There's always in all these conferences, with the exception of maybe the SEC, there's always one division that is really stacked and one that is really, I hate to use this word, but weak.
Mm-hmm.
Like what is
The
I think
Coastal
the
Division in the
ACC
ACC is terrible.
yeah, and and then what's the other one? What's the other one that I'm thinking of? I think in the Pac-12 it was North and South, right?
Yep, the South was usually the worst of the two. But that was mainly because USC kind of had their downfall. But I don't know. It's like I guess you could even. It's weird. You say that it's unlike the SEC, but the SEC kind of has that this year. The West has been kind of eh. I mean,
Yeah.
Bama has 2 losses. Ole Miss is in 3rd place. They have 4 losses.
The West kind of took care of themselves.
Yeah,
In a
like
way.
they just all
Pretty
beat
much.
up on each
Well,
other.
yep. That was kind of a couple of years ago when the SEC had, I think, like 6 teams ranked at the beginning of the season. Everybody was like, yeah, it looks like the SEC is going to beat themselves out of a playoff chance, because they are also good. But yeah,
That's pretty much what happened.
so
But yeah, I know. Yeah, the Pac-12 got it right. They got rid of divisions. The ACC, I think it's starting next year. They're going to what's basically
Team,
a pod,
yeah.
basically a pod system. It's a 3-5-5 system is what they call it, and the 3 is the 3 teams that you will play every year, no matter what. And then you'll play 5 of the other teams one year, and then the other 5 the next. So they have like a nice little rotation, a nice little balance there. And then the 2 best teams of everyone will play in the conference championship. And now I don't know if there's a plan for the Big Ten to go that route. The Big 12 already does a round robin anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So they got it right as well. And it's a matter of what the SEC could do.
Yeah, I don't know. The Big Ten might be different because they're going to have so many teams there, and same with the SEC.
They would have to do like a pod.
They'd
team,
have to do that.
like straight up pods.
The weird thing though, and it's kind of weird because you get rid of the divisions. The Pac-12 did that this year, but they still didn't really technically get the 2 best teams because Washington was sitting there at 10-2. So record-wise, they technically should have gotten in over Utah, but I guess the Pac-12 has some weird tiebreaker type stuff that somehow Utah at 9-3 with 2 conference losses, same as Washington, got in ahead of them, which is kind of weird.
Well, I guess in that case, you'd have to base it on conference record, not overall.
Yeah, which they had the same conference record and they didn't play head to head. So it's like, what do you do at that point?
That's a good point.
I mean, Washington lost to Arizona State, which is a terrible loss, but Utah also lost to Florida, which not looking like a very good loss either. So
yeah.
You'd have to get the whole tiebreaker scenario thing figured out because that's going to make a lot of fan bases mad, I'm sure.
Right. But at least they got the first step right. And they got rid of divisions. And the 2 that they made let's just say this, they made an attempt at getting the 2 best teams in the conference.
Yeah, and they made an attempt. Yep.
So it's going in the right direction. You can at least say that much.
Yeah.
Because you can't have this in all the Power 5 conferences doing this where you have one clearly the best team in one division against the team that's clearly the weaker opponent in the other. I mean, you gotta have some balance here. You got to get the right matchups.
Yeah, because the only one we've seen so far has been K-State with TCU. So
And how about that one today? Well, I wasn't able to see it, but
that was an absolutely crazy game. I'm gonna hit this one real quick because this dude's been dropping comments. Marcus Freeman's a great recruiter, and he could get us to the next level. Oh, for sure. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. And then Pine's a good guy. What bowl game will we be in? Do you think we'll play?
We were discussing this, me and
I actually have the list. Ryan. I have the list because it's kind of narrowed down.
So go ahead, Ryan. It's all you.
So the list, and this is official. So like it's either one of these three games against one of these three schools.
And you said this is because of Kansas State beating.
So
TCU.
It's because of the Utah USC.
Oh, Utah USC, thing. My bad.
So it's because of that, and K-State beating TCU just made it even weirder. So our projected bowl games, and these are the three different ones, and it's up to the community to decide. Basically, it's either the Cheez-It Bowl against Oklahoma, the Gator Bowl against Mississippi State, or the Holiday Bowl against Oregon. That's basically what it's narrowed down to in the three opponents. So it's basically the committee has to decide which of those three games they think they would rather see more. So
you guys know how I feel about conference only or corporate name only bowls. So please, the Holiday or the Gator.
I hope so too. I'd prefer to play Oregon because I feel like that would be the best, the toughest game.
Well, you see, if it was like this, which is what I've been saying for the last couple of years now, cue it, Ben. if if it had its own name, like the Pineapple Bowl, for example, like that looks more. If Cheez-It was a sponsor and the bowl game had its own name like that, then I'd be okay with that. But but just Cheez-It, I hate that. I hate the corporate name only. Get these bowl games their own names. And some of them do have it right. Yep. Holiday Bowl has it right. Gator Bowl has it right. I think Tax Slayer sponsors the Gator Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And who sponsors the Holiday Bowl?
Oh, God.
Lending Tree, I think.
No, the Lending Tree is its own bowl.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter, but
take a look. Holiday Bowl.
Which of those three games would you guys prefer?
I would prefer Oregon. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I'd like the Gator myself personally, because it's one of those. I mean, Holiday's been around for quite a while. The Gator Bowl.
Notre Dame has never played in the Holiday Bowl, but they've also never played Mississippi State. So you got two new things, I guess.
Well, and of course, one of the. I'm pretty sure this wasn't it the Holiday Bowl too, where between BYU and I forget who they play, where Jim McMahon led a great comeback and within like the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Maybe
I don't know. That's way too far back.
Yeah, we're talking like early, like 1982.
Before I was born. So
it was before I was born too. So.
Yeah, I think the Oregon would probably be mine just because that'd be the best, the hardest matchup, and also Notre Dame's only played Oregon twice, and the last time being in 1982 when that game ended in a 13-13 tie. So they haven't played, and also the storylines kind of write themselves. We'd be playing Dante Moore's future team.
So. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It was the 81. Yeah, it was the 81 Holiday Bowl. Between the BYU Cougars and the Washington State Cougars. So the battle of the Cougars right there. Jim McMahon. That was when he led BYU back within like the last couple of minutes. It took like a couple of onside kicks or something like that. It was a crazy game. I know that much. So, yeah. But anyway, myself personally, no, I think the Holiday Bowl would be cool, but I'd like the Gator just because it has that traditional feel to it, and it's one of those bowl games that's been there for like I want to say like 70 or 80 years. I think I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
At least we know for a fact though that Notre Dame's either going to be playing in Cali or Florida. So
Yeah.
eh,
So Alita / Andy Taylor has this question. There's going to be 12 teams in the college football playoff in that starts in 2024. How will they determine what teams go to the playoff? Well, what I'm reading so far is just and listen, we got to remember too that they've got a year and one off season to figure this out. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so there could easily be changes that get made. There could
they actually just
Who
came
knows?
out with another one like a few days ago when the Rose Bowl made their decision. It was like something about the top six. No, the top four is saved for the four best conference champions,
Yes.
and then
You and I are reading the same
so
one.
Notre Dame could only be as high as 5 just because
Yep.
they're an independent.
Yes.
But
But
there are also 2 other automatic bids, which are the other conference Power 5 champion, and then the group of 5, the best group of 5 champion gets in as well. So
Yeah.
that leaves 6 spots for everyone else to get in.
well, that's what I was reading too. Is that every team, there's the 6 conference champions, all the Power 5 champions, the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion, and then 6 wild cards.
Mhm.
And like you said, the top 4
Get a bye.
highest ranked conference champions get a bye, and then the rest are left to play it out in the first round. And now those first round games will be played on
Campuses,
the
yep.
campuses, and then starting in the next round in the quarterfinals, they'll start using the NY6 bowl games.
Mhm.
So you'll still have your rotating semifinal games,
Yeah.
And then the championship game will be played at a neutral site, but that's just the one format that they were talking about right now. There could easily be another one where it takes away, that the only ones that can get a bye are the top 4 conference champions. They could change that to where Notre Dame would qualify.
I don't think they would, just because the Big Ten is a big factor in this, and they, as a way to kind of force Notre Dame into a conference, I think that they could, but I don't think it's happening because, it's like it normally is. Everybody else doesn't like the fact that Notre Dame is independent, and the SEC and the Big Ten are just like, hey, playing tug of war with Notre Dame right now. Like, we want you guys here.
And now that you brought that up, I was actually going to ask about this. Do you guys think that if they stick with this format, if that's the key word, if they stick with this format and don't make any changes, do you think that this is kind of, for lack of a better term, the dagger that kind of forces our hand into a conference?
Yeah, I do. I think it does.
And now here's the thing. There's been a lot of talk with the ACC recently, and we know that our contract with the ACC says that if we join a conference before 2036, that we have to join them.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of talk with them recently about trying to basically disband the conference. I mean, anybody can talk. Who knows what they're actually going to do? 2 different things. But what do you guys think? Do you think it'll be the ACC or the Big Ten?
I think it would be the Big Ten, just because it makes more sense for Notre Dame to be in the Big Ten than the ACC, because of the fact that the recruiting, Midwest, you have all your rivals basically there. You got Michigan State, Purdue. You have
USC's
USC
coming
there,
in.
and the Big Ten's trying to get Stanford in there as well. So you have Stanford there.
Yeah.
Um,
Literally every one of your rivals.
It literally would just make sense, and nobody could ever question your schedule. I mean, you'd be playing Ohio State, USC, Michigan State, like, for every year. So I mean, it would be a gauntlet, and it would probably be an easier route for Notre Dame to go to the ACC, as we've seen in 2020. But money reasons, also the fact that the Big Ten has offered Notre Dame with that clause that, hey, if you leave the ACC and come to the Big Ten, we understand that you guys got that contract. We will pay. The Big Ten will pay our money to get you guys out of that, so you can join our conference. So that's another thing. Notre Dame wouldn't have to pay a dime to the ACC if they did that. The only thing that it would question that is, like, what do you do with basketball? and all that other stuff because you got basketball and ACC.
Well, if they join the Big Ten and football, they'd be full members.
Yeah,
So they'd go to the Big Ten
I
for
think
all
everything
their
would
Olympic
shift over.
Yeah, because you can't have football play in the ACC and then or you can't have football play in the Big Ten and then have all their Olympic sports in the ACC.
yeah.
I mean, the only way they're doing that right now is with
Go ahead.
the only way they're doing that right now is with hockey because we're the only team in the ACC that has a hockey team. So we're in the Big Ten right now for hockey.
Yeah, well, we're the only team in the ACC that doesn't have a club level team, is the thing. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, and the reason that the Big Ten took us was because the East that we were in disbanded and those teams went to different places. So that whole conference as a whole in hockey dissolved, kind of like the Big East in football and everything else. But yeah, I think if we move to the Big Ten, opponent wise, it would get a little bit tougher. But I think travel wise, it would be easier on Notre Dame because, I mean, the year that we went 12-0 and then ended up losing to Clemson. I mean, Notre Dame was on the West Coast and the East Coast 4 weeks in a row back to back.
Yeah, I remember that
schedule. I mean, that was like we were in New York, then we were in California, then we were in Maryland, and then we were back in California. So I mean, that's a lot of travel, and the traveling aspect I think would be a lot easier on those guys if we're going to like Michigan 1 week and then coming back to Indiana and then going back to Michigan a week and then coming back to Indiana, So I don't know. It would be interesting, but I think for sure if that happened, it would be Big Ten just because of all the rivals that we have. I mean, Southern Cal, I think, is the biggest key to that, in my opinion.
I also think, as part of it, I feel like also has to do, depends on what Clemson decides to do. Does Clemson decide to stay in the ACC, which it looks like their hands are kind of tied at this point because the SEC is not giving Clemson the same deal that the Big Ten is to Notre Dame. And basically, it's also, if Clemson wants to leave, they have to get approved by 8 of the other 11 or the other ACC members.
Because that breaks that grant of rights.
Which they were all of the ACC teams besides Clemson and Miami have said that if Clemson and Miami wanted to leave, they would immediately they would vote against it and keep them in that conference. So that's another thing. Also, I don't know if you guys had seen this. I had talked to Sean about it previously, but the Big Ten media deals that they've just recently signed this past year with NBC, in which it's going to completely knock Notre Dame games out of primetime on NBC.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the Big Ten is just kind of being that snake right now. They're trying everything they can to wrap around Notre Dame. Say, hey, you know what? You guys got your NBC deal, but guess what? You guys won't be able to play primetime games on NBC anymore at 7:30 because that's going to be reserved for the best Big Ten matchup. You guys are going to have to go play that on ESPN or something. So that's going to be a big factor as well because you understand how big those night games are for recruiting, for Notre Dame in general. If that's taken away because they're not in the Big Ten, then I think that's also like, hey, we might as well just wave the white flag here and just join in. So,
well, even if we joined, whether it be the Big Ten or the ACC, I wouldn't say that we're waving the flag because obviously these conferences do want us.
mm-hmm.
It's not because they're just trying to blend us in. If they wanted us just to blend in, then there's no way they'd want us in the conference.
No, they know how much money we would make.
Exactly, because conferences don't want us in just for us to blend in and fade away. No, they want us to help their conferences stand out even more.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, so I wouldn't really say it's waving the.
I wasn't like saying like that. It was more of like, hey, the Big Ten's taking away or constricting all of your reasons. Yeah. All of your reasons.
Well, Ryan, I'm not even talking about just you. I'm talking about like the people who would hate it if it happened.
Well, there's always going to be somebody that hates what
there'll be some like 80-year-old guy that's like a traditionalist, and he's like, dude, Notre Dame's been an independent my entire life. I don't want to go to the Big Ten. I want to be able to schedule whoever we want to play.
And we saw that with the 1 year in the ACC. I mean, I made a post asking about if there was a way to buy a helmet with the ACC thing on the front of the face mask, and people lost their ever-loving minds over that one. So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, myself personally, I thought it was kind of interesting to see that.
But, yeah, so circling back to college football playoff, Craig says problem is a lot of students will be on winter break.
Yeah.
Not to be that guy, not to be a dick about this. Okay, Notre Dame has 8,000 students total. Okay,
Yeah.
that stadium seats just about 80,000 people, so that's 1/8 of the stadium. If every single student came to the game, like if literally every single student in that student body went to the game. So, not taking a shot at the students and not trying to take a shot at Craig, I think would be just fine with a game played at Notre Dame Stadium in December. Just saying.
Hey, man, just gives more seats for us.
So,
yeah.
I think a lot of those students too would travel back for the game. I mean, they would probably stay over for the game and then go home after the game is done.
Well, and hey, Ben, December, that means a chance at snow.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I actually
had a lot of fun, but boy, was it cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like kind of just to finish off the playoff point was also like, for instance, next year we play another tough schedule where we got to play Ohio State, Clemson, USC in pretty close proximity to one another and right in the middle of our schedule. Think if Notre Dame finds a way to go 12-0 in that situation, and you've got wins against 3 top 10 teams, and we've got a 12-team playoff, and you can't get a bye because you're not in a conference, even if you might be one of the best 4 teams in the country, and you just can't, like that, you don't understand how bad that's going to suck. Because you're already playing a tough schedule. You're probably going to be banged up going through a schedule like that.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, starting off at your place, though, to me is a good momentum builder.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost would take that first matchup as opposed to sitting and playing in a neutral field because you have your whole crowd behind you. I mean,
that is true.
If we had home field advantage and we weren't traveling to somewhere like Utah or something, but I mean, still, that would be pretty crazy. So
it would just suck if like we lost because like we would already have that week off if we're not in a conference title. Yeah. So I guess you could say that's our bye. But then say like if we had a guy like Isaiah Foskey or Cam Hart that gets injured, and then we have to go into and all he would need is another weeks of rest and he'd be good to go. But we can't get that because we got to play the first round. Like that's where I feel like it would hurt the most is if you had injuries, which Notre Dame's had the last couple seasons to big positions.
Oh, there's definitely pros and cons with this, without a doubt.
But we see it all the time in the NFL. Like we've seen 7 seeds and 6 seeds make it to the Super Bowl, so it's not like it's completely unheard of. Those teams played from the jump, so there's a lot of gain momentum winning that first round game and then going to play a team that hasn't played. So.
And that's where I think a 12-team playoff would actually help these kids get ready for, like, especially the ones that are going to the next level to the NFL.
Yeah,
this would help prepare them for that kind of grind.
I always thought it was weird because, like, playing Illinois football, we have 32 teams. We have a 32-team playoff in all of the classes. It's like you go from that to a 4-team playoff. It's like I understand it's different level, but man, like we play 9 games and then we got to play. If you make it all the way, you got to play 5 more. So
yeah, it's 14 games.
Yeah.
And I got to address this comment real quick. Notre Dame 2164 says, "What's up, fellas? Sorry I'm late. Told the wife I would do the dishes." Okay, first off, dude, we were supposed to go at 4, so we were late too. And second of all, what do you mean you told your wife you would do the dishes? Stand up for yourself and be a man.
Hey, man, I know what that's like.
You better do those damn dishes.
Hey, Sean, a happy wife is a happy life, man. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I'm not married.
As Ben knows, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that though. I even though I'm not married, I have obviously you guys and several other friends who are married, and yeah, I know you better make that wife happy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Craig also says he thinks that they would join the ACC. And see, here's my thing though. I don't care where we join.
Just get into conference.
I don't care. I don't care if we remain independent. I don't care if we go to the Big Ten or the ACC or Conference USA, wherever. All I care about is winning and getting over that hump and winning that national title. Because you know what? There's always going to be somebody that has an excuse of why we shouldn't be there. Even if we won our conference championship in the Big Ten or the ACC or wherever, they would still say, oh, it was a fluke and you guys got lucky and blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. I mean, we're all Notre Dame fans. So all I care about is Notre Dame. Does that sound conceited and mean?
No.
Maybe.
No,
Who cares? I'm a Notre Dame fan.
You care about the team. You cheer.
So,
But you know what? Once that 12-team playoff hits, it's going to be a lot harder to win a natty. We see Alabama and Clemson and Georgia the last couple of years dominate these playoffs, and it's like, yeah, they might be able to dominate 2 games, having to play only 2 games, but you got to play a first round, a quarterfinal, semifinal, and then the natty. That's 4 extra games, 3 if you get a bye. That's a lot harder. Lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
And I can see it. We will have a lot more upsets in the playoff, just like we do in high school, where we have the number 1 team in the state. They can lose in the first round to the 32nd ranked team. It happens all the time. So when you have a lot of teams like that, it's going to happen.
Well, actually, I think they just do seeds 1 through 16 on each side, don't they?
For 7A, I know they do 1 versus 32.
Okay, maybe they do that for all the other levels now too. But last I knew, it was 1 through 16 and on one side, and then 1 through 16 on the other. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So did you guys just address this? What about the guys that have NFL dreams? They skip bowl games. Are they going to play 3 extra?
Oh
games?
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's their decision.
If they don't want to, goodbye. I mean,
it'll be interesting to see what happens with that going forward, because is that a situation where you're an NFL team and I mean, you play 17 games in one season, and there's a lot of guys that'll tell you as rookies, it's just not the same. They're like, we play 12 games, 13 most, and all that. So are you an NFL team going, all right, well, you don't want to play those games. Well, what are you going to do when you have to play 17 here? Or are you an NFL team and you look past it? Because, I mean, we saw Kyle Pitts, skip out on the Florida-Oklahoma game, and then he was drafted in, the top 10, I think it was. So,
yeah, I believe so.
I mean, it's up to them, and if you do it, cool. If not, cool too. I mean, that's not my decision.
I don't think we will see kids sit, because I think the issue with the New Year's Six is a lot of those kids, it's either championship or bust. If they don't make the playoff, then why am I risking my body for a game that, you could argue matters, doesn't matter, whatever. But if it doesn't matter to them, then why are they going to risk it? But I think if it's you give them the incentive of a 12-team playoff and you say, hey, you got to play 4 games to win a natty. I think if the kid is a competitive kid and he loves football like the fans do and most of the people on his team do, I feel like that they would play. But it's one of those things where also you could see where hey, say if it's say it's an Oklahoma or something and they got to play Georgia in the first round and they're projected to get blown out of the water. What do you think those kids that maybe are from Oklahoma can go to the draft? I mean, you think that they're going to sit, say, oh, we're going to get blown out anyway? That's where I feel like maybe it could get you, but I just don't see it if these kids are really wanting to be competitive and win a national title.
All right, real quick, since whoever brought this comment up, I'll address it. Yeah, get your wife on.
Oh God.
Okay, Mrs. 2164, your husband is not going to do the dishes. He chose to watch us. You might just have to deal with it, okay?
Saturdays are for the boys. Let your man spend time with the boys.
I liked how Ben was saying, oh no. What do I care? It's first off, I'm not married. It's not my wife. If this
after that comment, Sean,
I don't know this guy's real name.
Accessory to murder.
Hey, Sean.
What?
After that comment, man, there may not be any more dishes to clean. if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, she'll be breaking it over his head. Hey, it's not my thing. Look, listen, I'm just gonna say it. It's not my problem. I don't know this. I don't know this guy's first name. He seems like a good guy. He's been on our streams for the last couple months now. I believe he's a good dude. But listen, if his wife gets mad at him, that's not my problem.
Oh man.
which is probably why I'm not married at this point in my life.
Hey, you know, Ben, I pray to God for whenever Sean gets married and the first time his wife asks him to do the dishes. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Oh, I'll probably be divorced within a week.
You probably will. You probably will.
I don't know. All right, let me just say this. Just don't be stupid and do the dishes, dude. Okay? Just don't take we don't want to read about some murder in the paper tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, no.
Well,
Oh, man.
I gotta say though, I've seen Ben and his wife, and she's not really bossy to him.
Mine isn't
Then
either.
again,
Mine tends to be a little bit of a rare exception in a couple regards. So I will you can't use me as the golden example. Let's just say that. So
yeah, me and my wife, we split everything. So
yeah, that's kind of
I make dinner, she does the dishes. She makes dinner, I do the dishes. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
But my
Tulane
wife-
is still in UCF right now, just to let y'all know.
you're gonna feel bad when I disappear.
Hey, but you know what? My wife's never gonna sit there and be like, "Hey, get off your butt and do the dishes." It's not like that, but
Well, you know what I tell her? Use paper plates.
yeah. Hey, I do it all. I ask her if she got paper plates from the store every time we go because I don't want to do them. So, but then you got to worry about if I get paper plates, then I got to worry about my kid dumping food all over the floor. So,
well, your kid's gonna do that with real plates anyway.
yeah.
So what's the difference?
Oh man, I got a 4-year-old, so it's been
oh yes,
the no and talking back, and it's at that stage.
Yep.
So she actually the other day she got out of her room at 2 a.m, got into our fridge, got a bottle of ketchup out, and poured it all throughout the entire house, on the carpet, on my PS4, on my Christmas tree.
And this was in the middle of the night.
Yes. And we put child-proof things on the doorknob, so it makes it harder for her to get out. And
There's
she figured
it was actual child-proof.
she figured it out. She figured it out in a couple days. So.
Yeah.
Your daughter, I saw it. She can open those things.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And mine's not even 2 yet. So
yeah.
Yep. No, there's no such thing as
you can't have nice things when you have kids.
No.
Let's just say that.
No.
The thing is, though, I'm more worried about not Ben's kid. I'm worried about her not exactly getting into the fridge and throwing food. I'm worried about her letting the snake out.
No.
Oh no, my daughter does that too. We got a cat, and she put him in. Tried putting him in our fish tank. So I was like, oh, see. She does not like animals. I will just say that she does not. Like
give her a few years; she'll love them. But no, Ben has this pet snake named Stanley, and he's not a bad snake. But myself, this Ben, I'm just not a big fan of snakes.
Yeah. Hey, I got a bearded dragon, so I love reptiles.
Yeah, that's I used to have a bearded dragon. I want another one really bad. So we've been discussing.
Speaking of discussion, we should probably answer some of these questions. But I could talk about this all day, though.
Any feelings of who would be the quarterback in the portal?
Hudson Card. I want Hudson Card. Either him or, the quarterback for Tulane, Michael Pratt. That's where my top 2 would be, and then number 3 would probably be JT Daniels.
Someone actually mentioned I think a quarterback from Nate or Army, I think. Okay, I don't get that. Why would you bring in a quarterback that's used to running the option?
He does. I don't know why he's not the quarterback for Army. He's not very good. So maybe it was a joke.
I hope it was a joke, but this was on an article.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was on an article of prospects, quarterback prospects in the portal that Notre Dame could take, and they brought up Army's quarterback.
I'm just so glad that Notre Dame didn't go after Cade McNamara. I did not. I was not. I was like, because there were reports, oh, he was going to come to Notre Dame, and I'm like, dude, Cade McNamara is literally Ian Book, but without the mobility and has no arm strength whatsoever. Like, I would not want it. Hudson Card. Now he's Ian Book, but like on steroids because he can run, but he's also really muscular, and he's got a freaking cannon of an arm, and he was like the number 5 quarterback in his class.
I'd give him a shot.
He was the same class as Drew Pine, so he's a true redshirt sophomore, so he's got 3 years of eligibility. Why not? He's a highly touted kid.
I wouldn't have a problem with it. If it helps wins us helps wins us games, bring it on.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Jeff Sims.
Jeff Sims would be good too.
Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech.
He's got some inconsistency issues, but that's like stuff that you can obviously fix in practice. And Jeff Sims is the kind of guy I forgot about too. Jeff Sims, Hudson Card, either of them I take.
All right, I'm going to address this real quick. Sean, you can't watch the Notre Dame game. What are you going to do? Serve divorce papers. If only it were that simple. In all honesty, she is a wonderful woman who cooks me food all the time. The least I can do is the dishes. All right, you know what? Have you guys? You know what? I heard that saying once. She's going to cook you. Your girl's going to cook you a hot meal. The least you could do is the dishes. All right. You know where I heard that? In the movie The Bride of Chucky. And how did that turn out? Chucky killed Tiffany.
Well,
come on. I'm trying. Obviously, I made this awkward and it worked.
Oh, man.
I like how you guys just stopped talking when I said that.
Oh,
hey,
man.
It's making it a little bit of a game now. It's 24-14 Tulane.
All right, let's see. Any other questions here? Okay, you had to do the damn dishes.
Walter gets.
I thought she lost. No. Everybody has their opinions on that. Myself personally, I don't like snakes. Ben likes them, obviously. Ryan, I know you like reptiles. I mean, I'm a cat guy.
Yeah, I'm a cat guy too. I'm an every animal guy.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
Craig, my guy, Jeff Sims.
My wife just made me get a Chihuahua, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, that thing's gonna be humping your leg all the time.
Oh no! Well, it's a girl and she's fixed, so that hopefully I don't have to worry about that. But she's gonna be barking all the time.
It's funny. My in-laws have 2 of them, and they're obsessed with both of us. Like we're like the 2 only people that they like other than those 2, and like they're obsessed. It's hilarious.
They freak out. Like once they get attached, they like legitimately freak out if you don't, like if you're not home. It's.
I'll tell you a funny story about Chihuahuas. Ben, I actually told you this when I was visiting you last week and we went to the game. So when I was in 7th grade, we had this geography teacher, for starters, who was really weird. And on top of that, she was obsessed about her 3 Chihuahuas that she had. Now, the Chihuahuas that she had, they weren't like the small ones, like the Yo Quiero Taco Bell Chihuahua dog. She had ones that were like kind of bigger. And all the time she would talk about her three Chihuahuas. Oh, Cupcake, Sweetie Pie, and Gingerbread, I think was the third one's name. And just nonstop talking about her damn Chihuahua. It's no wonder I got an A+ in that class. So she decided one day that she was going to bring one of them in, and we're like, "Oh, this is the Chihuahua that she's obsessed with." And my buddy who was in the class with me, when it came time to his turn to pet the Chihuahua, he says to her, "You get that damn dog away from me, or I'm going to kill it." And of course, he got like a week's worth of detention.
Yeah, that'll do it.
He's like, get that dog away from me or I'm going to kill it. It's like, wow. But 2164 says, I knew what movie you were talking about before you even said it. Nice. And then there was also that dialogue in that movie about when Chucky didn't know who Martha Stewart was. Who the F is Martha Stewart? My idol. How to plan ahead when you have company showing up at the last minute, and then later on, oh my gosh, he's coming. What do we do? I don't know. What would Martha Stewart do?
LSU's making a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah. Yep. I just saw that. They are
both of those teams, them and UCF, are both making a little bit of a comeback.
I did have a question for you two because I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this because I know there was some divide in the fan base about this. So Buckner is healthy now, and he's been practicing the last couple weeks. Not like anything too crazy, just like dropping back, passing, throwing the ball. People saying it's kind of stupid to maybe throw him out there in the bowl game since he hasn't played since week 2, and he's coming off of a significant surgery and injury. I mean, what would you guys do? Would you guys start Buckner now that he's healthy with the risk of him re-injuring that in the bowl game, or would you start and just see what you have in Stephen Jelly?
What I would do is I would start Buckner, but I would be really prepping Angeli to be on standby. That's what I would do.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring this up because I literally just lived through this the beginning of the NFL season with Tua.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I would start Buckner. It's a live by the sword, die by the sword situation. You got to put him out there sometime. I mean, to me, worst case scenario is you have Buckner set, you put Angeli out there, Angeli gets hurt, and then you're going to Buckner, who's been injury prone. That's, in my opinion, like worst case scenario. But it's football. I mean, both guys have to be able to play, and I don't see the issue with getting Buckner extra chances to improve. And I mean, because that's something I said yesterday on a comment that somebody wrote saying, and they were doing it more just to get people talking, and I don't think it was an actual opinion, but they were saying, should Notre Dame actually even play in a bowl game, or should they just skip it? And I've always said, if you have an opportunity to play in a bowl game, play in it because you get extra practice per NCAA rule. So
yeah, those 15 extra practices, they carry on into the spring, and I've said that myself as well.
Get that experience under your belt, and I mean, so I'm not trying to sound terrible, but it's like, what, Buckner goes out there, lays an egg, and we lose the bowl game. All right, so what?
I think it's more of it's more of the fact that like if he re-injures himself after just coming off of rehab of that shoulder injury, and then say say he hurts the same shoulder again, and he's gone for another 3 to 4 months. He'd miss probably the beginning of spring training, maybe the spring game. And then you've got other guys coming in that are unproven. You'd have a transfer and a true freshman and Minchie. So it's like, I kind of understand where like people are like, oh, well, yeah, you put him out there for a quote unquote, and you see it always Irish. He had said it like quote unquote meaningless game because whether or not Notre Dame loses this game or wins it, evidently in his opinion, it's not going to carry over to next year. Which I disagree with, and I would like the idea of getting Buckner out there if he plays well, that carries confidence. But I guess my question is, are you guys scared at all that if he re-injures that shoulder and he misses significant time and more practice time, that we're kind of in the same boat as we were this year, where we have a guy that we don't really have that one true guy that has had full game experience and can go out there we can trust starting?
Well,
I guess I'm saying
if that happens, then it goes by the same philosophy that's always been the case. It's next man in. Then if that happens, this is where it just comes on the coaches to properly develop your quarterback.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
football.
that's all there is to it. I mean, we've seen this happen before. I mean, remember when Malik Zaire went down in 2015? Yep. They had to bring in Deshaun Kaiser, and Deshaun played pretty well. So that's where you have to have your backups really ready to go to properly develop your quarterbacks, because that kind of shit's going to happen. You have to expect that. Not saying it's going to happen, but you have to be ready for it.
Then what would you guys say about like maybe starting Buckner and limiting his, the design
Like his
QB
reps?
runs? No, the runs, like the running plays where he's taking shots, or if he's gonna run it, tell him to get his butt out of bounds. I mean, or slide or something, because I know he's a guy that likes to be physical when he runs, but that's not something you can maintain over a 12-game season. And I've even seen people say, well, why not start in jelly and use Buckner as kind of like a gadget quarterback, like in close yardage situation to get a first down and have him run. I'm like, instead of that, I'd rather start Buckner, have him use his athletic ability naturally, like where it's like, oh, he can escape the pocket, run, make guys miss, like kind of like what Caleb Williams did. But instead of like having designed quarterback runs for him where he's going to take shots.
I mean, I think that would be something to consider.
Yeah. I think the maturation process of a quarterback is knowing when it's time to slide or get out of bounds.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys that, and we saw it. You got him up as your screen name today with Max. There were so many times where he just tried to run people over.
You can tell it took a toll on him at the end of the game.
There's a lot of guys that, as they get more mature as a quarterback, you see those things tend to go away and they tend to slide more or dip out of bounds. So I feel like with Buckner, that's a good next step. That's good. Like, look, man, first off, we're worried about injury. Secondly, it doesn't matter, man. Like, this is a situation where you need to learn how to slide and go out of bounds and stuff. So I'm not super worried about it. Football, and it's one of those where whether it's Buckner, whether it's Tyree, whether it's Mayer, one play can end a career. So,
Joe
Theismann.
If you're that worried about an injury, then you're in the wrong sport.
Do you think that if Buckner plays, that he'll play hesitantly coming off of that injury? Because we see that a lot with guys.
I think he's going to be a little bit nervous. I think he's going to be maybe do anything he can to protect that arm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very well possible.
Like, do you think maybe like we'll see, like, say we're playing, I don't know, Oklahoma or Oregon, and they blitzing him, and say somebody comes right in his face and he's got a free rusher and he's got to throw through that. You think maybe he hesitates and then takes like a shot, doesn't get rid of the ball, takes a set. That's what I'm just kind of like, because he hasn't played and he's only got 1 week of practice, and now he's going to get a couple more for the bowl game. But I don't want him going out there if he's not mentally ready, because it's one thing to be physically ready, but mentally ready, you're going to get yourself killed.
Well, I know this. Ready. I know this feeling, not at the same degree as him, obviously, but I had shoulder surgery back in January, and I went through the rehab and all that. No, it's a kitty.
Yes, he got up here.
But I went through the rehab, and once I got out of rehab, I was. Yeah, basic things like just going to shoot baskets. Like I was afraid to put, like, when you go through the follow through, I was so afraid to actually go through the whole follow through on my shooting. So if that's like that for me, just somebody who just wants to, work out and shoot some baskets, then I can only wonder what it's like for Tyler Buckner. So I don't know. That's definitely more of a serious thing for him than it is for me. But I think it just all depends, like you said, on how is he mentally ready to play a game.
And I almost wonder if you put him out there and you kind of just keep an eyeball on him the first couple of series, see, talk to him, see what's going on in his head, see what he's seeing. And then if it seems like he's not mentally prepared, then that's why you have Stephen Jelly fully prepared. Maybe split the first team reps with Angeli, put him out there. Say, hey,
Correct.
I want to go out there and win this game. If you're not ready, I'll put somebody else that's in ready right now.
Craig wants to really see Angeli here. And then he says, and run a little wildcat.
Pull it down right when you put it up.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing with Marcus Freeman is that he has been in these situations. Since he played for Ohio State, he played in big name bowl games. You know, he went through it, unlike Brian Kelly and some of the guys that we've had. You know, and that's no shot at them. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, you know. So I think that he'll make the best decision for that situation. And if it's Buckner, cool. And if it's Angeli, cool, you know. And I'm not going to put myself in a camp per se. I just want to see Notre Dame win the game. That's what I want to win.
And also, it's funny you mentioned that, Ben, because this is kind of going back to what we were talking about before with, you know, guys sitting and, you know, the importance of the bowl games and all that. Here's the thing. Yeah, our ultimate goal is to get to the NY6, whether that be the playoffs or the 4 remaining bowl games. Obviously, we didn't do that this year, so we got to take the next best thing. And the Gator Bowl is a game that I want to see us win. I mean, I think these games in the next tier, the Gator, the Citrus, the Holiday, and I think there's a few others. Those are games that I would be proud to have in my trophy case as victories.
Yeah.
You know, but the funny thing is, you know, and Ryan, you mentioned this about John saying this about how these are, you know, these, like, quote, for lack of a better term, don't mean anything. And I've even seen that long before with many different people saying this. And they say this about the 4 remaining games in the NY6, that, oh, they're just glorified exhibitions. They don't matter. Bullshit, they don't matter. These are major bowl games that teams want to play in. You're actually going to tell me that a kid wouldn't have fun playing in the Orange Bowl, or I'm going with this year's rotation. You mean to tell me that the kids wouldn't love to play in the Orange Bowl or the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Sugar? Of course they would. Of course they would. And yeah, no, they're not national championships, but they're still big bowl games that are a championship in its own right. It's like, wouldn't you be proud to say that, hey, you're the Cotton Bowl champions or you're the Orange Bowl champions? I sure as hell would. And just like I'd be proud to say that we're the Gator Bowl champions if that's where we end up and we win the game. But yeah, I mean, and also let me just say this. With all those games, if they were just exhibitions, then people wouldn't get so uptight about them like I've seen many fans do.
Yeah. I think it was more of like, on John's part, it was more of like, hey, does a win against South Carolina or Mississippi State, does that change your perception of this Notre Dame team going into next year? Does it make the national media look at Notre Dame in a different way? Which maybe not, probably not, but does it make us fans feel better about next year? Hell yeah, it does. You know what? Like, and every win makes us feel better about ourselves. So
yeah, and I certainly wasn't calling him out. I just was, bringing that up to mention
there
what I've
are
seen
certain people in the fan base that are that it's a meaningless game. Blah blah blah. Yes, and I agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not. You know, I still want to go out and win it. No, it's not on the grandest stage, but it's still a pretty big stage, and I want to win it.
Any game I play, I would want to win. So,
but yeah, Notre Dame 2164's comment here. I think you tell Buckner to sit in the pocket, be elusive when you need to. If you do run, get out of bounds or slide. Work on your decision making.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good point. Very good point. Yep. EJP shows up here. Agreed. Just not sold on Freeman yet, but Clemson was a great step in the right direction. Can you go over why ND is not in the ACC championship? Is that a wisecrack? Because we're not in the ACC.
Well, I don't know if you've seen on game day this morning, they were joking and said that they were talking about Notre Dame.
I don't watch game day.
No,
so.
they were talking. They said, well, they were talking about, we got Clemson versus North Carolina, the quote unquote ACC championship, when we all know Notre Dame is the true ACC champions this year.
Okay.
That's what what's his name, Reese Davis said.
Yeah.
He said Notre Dame is technically by default the ACC champs because we beat Clemson and North Carolina.
Yeah,
So,
for some, I don't know what this dude's angle is, but Notre Dame has an agreement with the ACC. If you don't know, we have to play X amount of ACC teams every year per agreement, but we are not full-fledged conference members. So if there's a championship, which there is, we don't play in it. If the conference champion has a better record than us, they get the automatic bid for the ACC. If we have the better record, then we would get the automatic bid. That's how it normally works with the agreement.
and especially this year,
playoff, which is different this year. But so that's the whole gist of it. Giving it to you in like less than a minute, but
see also it's part of their agreement since we're in the ACC for every sport except football and hockey. We're playing 5 ACC teams on average a year, just as a way to say thank you.
Yeah, and it's a rotating thing. Walter says, I think Notre Dame's win over Clemson's bigger than if they win the bowl game.
Oh yeah.
Sure. I mean, that was a top 5 matchup, in Clemson. I mean, you're not gonna, we're obviously not gonna play someone in the bowl game in the top 5 unless something crazy happens, which I don't think anything will. Craig says 5 teams a year. Yeah, 5 teams a year.
Yeah, and wisecrack EJP was probably the wrong term to use. Yeah. I wasn't thinking that you were taking a dig at us.
Yeah, no, we get the typical weird, stuff. Anyway,
we're not full-time members. We can't play in the title game.
Clemson was the most fun game, and I think Clemson, I mean, it's debatable, I guess, was the best team that we played all year, other than maybe Ohio State. So
I think USC would probably beat Clemson on a.
Yeah, it would be really interesting.
It'd be a close game. It would be a weird game because
almost like a round robin between USC, Ohio State and Clemson.
But I think we'd all agree that Ohio State would probably beat both Clemson and USC. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a USC Ohio State game would be like a 66-65 win for one of those teams because the defenses just kind of shaky for both. Any discussion on Big Ten? We talked about it a little bit earlier. That's on the Big Ten and that's on Notre Dame. I mean, the Big Ten in the past, I don't know how many people actually know. The Big Ten in the past has had their beef with Notre Dame, and that's, I think, part of the issue. So, we've had certain schools that shall remain nameless take shots at the fact that Notre Dame wanted to join the Big Ten.
It's up north.
Here's looking at the Wolverines. But, so, I mean, like we said, I don't really care either way. I want to win a national title. And if that's going through ACC or the Big Ten, then so be it. So,
and LSU just scored a touchdown, and they are going for 2.
No, you're ahead of me.
Oh shit! Damn. It's 42-23. LSU is going for 2.
But
there's a timeout on the field.
South Carolina is the backup USC.
Backup USC. Well, no, they're not the backup USC. They're USC Junior. That's what we.
I always thought that South Carolina, they went by SCU.
No, they go as USC, but
they go as USC.
But they technically, publicly, they can't go as USC because USC actually sued them for the right
trademark?
Yeah, they trademarked being the only USC.
No shit. I guess I didn't realize that.
Kind of like Ohio State trademarked the word "the," which is stupid. But
the. Okay, send me the fines, Ohio State.
That's why anytime we would do our pick'ems on my podcast, I was like, I'm going to go with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, like just to piss off all the
And I get
Ohio
it.
State fans.
You can't stop a regular person from saying it, but they're talking about as far as branding goes.
Yes.
I get the difference.
And you know what? You should have seen. I was watching the Ohio Toledo MAC championship today, and it was hilarious because fans brought
good.
signs that said "the" when they like put underlined it and said "the" only teams in Ohio playing today.
That's good. That's really good. I like
So,
that. That's awesome. So, yeah, we are out of comments at the moment.
no, we could talk about the fact that Notre Dame has the number 2 recruiting class in the country now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
They made a nice step. We had just had a receiver commit, I think.
Corner Carson Hobbs committed a couple weeks ago.
Kenny Minchie came. Obviously, we talked about from Pittsburgh.
We've got another wide receiver that might be committing on December 7th. December 13th, and then we got the athlete from Virginia, Brandon Hillman, who's got his commitment date set for December 7th. So 2 more guys that are Notre Dame leans that we could see join the class. Notre Dame's going to have 3 running backs and like 6 wide receivers in this class. So Freeman's just getting everybody, man.
That wide receiver room needs it.
Yeah, we need receivers, and we need
about that.
No, the receiving room is what needs a lot.
I mean, if
depth and talent.
That was something that I talked about in our recap of the SC game. I mean, if you were telling me that we would do what we did this year with that receiving room that we had, I would have been kind of shocked. So
yeah,
I can only imagine what it'll be like to actually have decent depth at the receiving position.
And all of those guys that we get can easily contribute as true freshmen, which is going to be so exciting to watch. And I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh, speaking of wide receivers and running backs, one more thing I did want to ask you guys about, because I've seen it like all over Notre Dame Twitter ever since Pine entered the portal. There's rumors circulating now that like because of the amount of wide receiver recruits that Notre Dame's bringing in, the fact that Deion Colsey and Merriweather have kind of taken over and taken a majority of Styles' snaps, and also Jaden Thomas, and also the running back side, Audric Estime and Diggs kind of stealing the spotlight away from Tyree. There's been a lot of rumors circulating that Tyree could transfer, and so could Lorenzo Styles. Styles mainly because he's upset that he's not getting the targets, and also the fact that he would go to Ohio State to play with his brother, who is a corner for Ohio State. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Like, could you guys see both of those guys leaving with the amount of recruits that we're bringing in at those 2 positions? I mean, or do you think that they'll stay and stick it out?
Well, I know Tyree he only has 1 year left of eligibility anyway. I could see, if I had to choose, I'd say Styles would be more likely to transfer than I would Tyree, because Tyree only has 1 year left. Because I'm pretty sure he was a junior this year.
I think it was a red shirt. I think he has 2, because I think he's a red shirt junior.
Okay, well then maybe he'd play 1 more year and then transfer if he really feels that he's not, getting the reps that he wants.
It's just like he's already running back 3 right now behind Diggs and Estime.
Yeah.
Is that going to change at all when we have 3 more solid running backs in that running back room?
Because I know that one kid that
Jeremiah Love. Dylan Edwards is the fastest guy in the class. So that guy runs like a 4.19 or something, 40.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see what are you going to use Tyree for? Maybe you switch him to wide receiver, but I don't know, because then you got 6 wide receivers coming in. So
he'd be undersized as a receiver too. So
yeah,
Styles now with Styles, I think what could benefit Styles is him staying here for another year And look, this is not a knock on Drew Pine. It's not a knock, but we know that Drew Pine had a lot of tendency to zone onto one guy, and that was primarily Michael Mayer.
And then secondary was Jaden Thomas.
Jaden Thomas. He wasn't, but overall, he wouldn't look for anybody else. Now, maybe if you get a quarterback that actually looks around a little more, then maybe that might change his mind and he might stay. But I don't know. He could transfer for those reasons alone. Just the fact that his brother's at Ohio State, and depending on what the depth chart looks like with all these receivers coming in. So I don't know. I really can't say for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I think it depends on what Marcus Freeman says to the guys. I really do. I mean,
can you really make any promises at that point with that many recruits?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I wonder if it's more of just like, we're going to be so good that, if you want to be in on this championship team, or I don't know. I mean, it's
I don't want Styles to go, to be honest. I mean, I think Tyree is a guy that we can kind of, like, I'm not bashing the guy, but I think it's a guy that we can withstand the blow of losing him because of how good Estime and Diggs have been. On top of the guys we're getting in. But Styles, I've loved Styles ever since he's been at Notre Dame. And I think I love what he brings to the table. And I think he can be that number one receiver that Notre Dame wants him to be. And that's why it's like, I know he has that potential. That's why it would suck so much if he did transfer. Because I think he has that athletic ability to be that guy. But he just hasn't shown it. He's shown some flashes, but he just hasn't been consistent. And the dropping issues is another thing that's kind of concerned me as well.
Yeah. Great recruiting. Who are the ND top targets? I mean, we were just talking about them. I mean, Jeremiah Love, the running back. I forget what state he's out of.
St. Louis in Missouri.
St. Louis.
So.
Telling you, man.
Christian Brothers. That's the school, man.
And Ben, you grew up in St. Louis, so you know the area.
I don't like talking about CBC.
We also EGP. We just flipped a quarterback from Pittsburgh who was recruited there. Kenny Minchie. Who else?
The Bowens. I mean, we got
Bowen,
two Bowens.
Peyton Bowen. Oh, and one more guy I did want to mention.
Peyton Bowen and
Drac Bowen.
So I mean, you pick your poison. One's on offense and one's on defense.
No, they're both on defense. Drac's
because Bowen's a defensive back.
Yeah, safety. I don't know why I was thinking QB. Yeah,
but I also wanted to mention one more guy. Malachi Coleman is an interesting guy. He's a 5-star athlete, but he's like a defensive end. He's an edge. He's got the same athletic build as Isaiah Foskey, same explosiveness. His pro comparison is to Kayvon Thibodeau. So that shows that kid's pretty good. He was committed to Nebraska, but because of the whole thing that happened in Nebraska recently, he decommitted. And Notre Dame's pushing really hard for that kid. And in my opinion, I watched his tape. He's better than Keon Keeley. So that says something about that kid. I would love him in a heartbeat to replace Keon.
It still sucked though to lose Keon though.
But his thing is the whole NIL money and stuff. It's like
yeah, and that's going to happen. I mean, that's unfortunately going to happen. It's nature of the beast these days.
Well,
do you really want kids like that though? Because we seen what happened at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Those kids are all bolting now because guess what? They got their money and they're not happy. So guess what? They stole your money, Texas A&M boosters.
Whoa! Take the money and run. yeah. Whoa.
I think they've had 20 transfers, and 12 of them are from the class that they had last year.
That class has collapsed.
2164 says, "Mark my words. 2 or 3 years, you will not be able to tell the difference athletically between ND and the elites of college football."
Yeah. I mean, I think
the way things are going.
Yeah. I mean,
next year.
look at what we did with, against Ohio State. Look at what we did against Clemson. I think we're already starting to see it a little bit, so imagine, what'll happen when we actually have a decent receiver room and all that. So, I think we're right there.
That defense is going to be insane. Cam Hart coming back for another year. You got Benjamin Morrison, who made the NCAA first team freshman team.
True freshman.
And you're going to have Peyton Bowen back there, which is basically another Kyle Hamilton. You're going to have Brandon Joseph, who's most likely coming back for another year.
I think Tariq Bracy's still going to be there.
Yeah. Oh, that defense is going to be.
Yep.
Oh.
And like 2164 says here, our recruiting classes are crazy fast and athletic. Yes, they are.
We have the two fastest 40-timed prospects in the entire class. Bowen is 2, and L. Edwards is 1. So, yeah, we're going to be running all over people.
Yes.
That one's all for you, Ben.
The other half is Ben and myself. Dolphins beat the Niners. Yeah, it's going to be an
Please do, Ben. I'm a Broncos fan, and we got that Niners first-round pick. So we need them to lose, man. Please.
See, I'm cool with whatever. Well, I want to beat the Packers, but Bears are currently sitting number 2 in the NFL draft for next year.
We're number 3, but see, Sean, we're going to have never mind. We're not going to have a top 3 pick because we traded it away. Seahawks are going to get a playoff berth and a top 3 pick.
Was it worth it?
No. They finessed us, man. They sold us a faulty product.
Yeah. It's looking like you guys kind of got fleeced there.
It's false advertising, man.
But early projections I'm seeing, since we're talking pro here a little bit, if the Bears get the number 2 pick, that we're looking at that that edge rusher from Alabama potentially.
Will Anderson?
Yeah, Anderson.
Ooh.
Our D-line needs help.
Pick. See,
yeah,
the Bears need to go O-line, though, man. They need to build around Fields.
I don't think you'll go O-line second.
Not the first round.
Or not second-round pick, at least. And maybe if it was later. But I don't know. And there's not a lot of good offensive linemen this year like there was last year.
Your offensive linemen are going to come. Your offensive linemen, a lot of them are going to come in the second and third rounds this year, I think. But yeah, Craig said, get the right quarterback and we will score 40 points a game, and it will be a video game.
It'll be like playing video games is what he's doing.
Oh God, I see. NIL and transfer portal really confusing. I know. I agree.
There's a different a guy entering the transfer portal like every 20 minutes on Twitter. So it's like insane.
I think I'll answer it first. I think it's helping. I think it helps teams. I don't know. The NIL kind of still up in the air. I mean, Texas A&M is kind of a glaring example of, just because you're bought and paid for doesn't mean you're going to do the whole shebang. So,
you got to have that chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something I was going to say myself is I think that it's one of those situations where there's too many cooks in the kitchen. You have too many guys that have too many egos, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have an ego, because I think that some of the best players do tend to have egos, but when you have, like I said, too many cooks in the kitchen,
I feel like there's a difference between an ego and moxie, though. There's a big difference. Trevor Lawrence didn't really have an ego, but he had moxie to him. He didn't really talk very much.
Rattler, who is clearly the most arrogant dude in the room.
Yes. That's kind of I like where Notre Dame is in the NIL. I know we've lost guys like Dante Moore and Keon Keeley because of money, and we weren't going to pay them more than Oregon or Bama or whatever. But I also think that just based off seeing what happened at A&M, that it's almost smart that Notre Dame and Freeman believe that way, because we're not going to – if you don't want to come to Notre Dame because you want to get paid somewhere else and you want $3 million of NIL money instead of Notre Dame giving you $1 million, that's your own problem. That your priorities are messed up. That's you. You do you. We don't want you here. Okay? That's your decision. That's fine. That's how Marcus Freeman has looked at it. And we've missed out on 2 guys that are top tier prospects, and we still have the number 2 recruiting class in the country. If that doesn't say what it does about Notre Dame and Freeman, I don't know what else does.
Yeah.
No, they're being really smart about who they bring in here, and
because if you're looking to commit somewhere for money, you're not committing to a school for the right reason.
No. I mean, you can have all this money, yeah, but then you find out it's like, okay, it's not really the place I want to be. There's nothing to do here.
The team sucks. The coach is toxic.
I don't like the classes here. Whatever, take your pick. It's even though they're young, you gotta. I get it. When you're 18 years old, you think you know everything, but you really don't. And this is where, and when you're making a big decision like this is where you need to grow up fast.
Yeah.
And think like, okay, the money's great here in this NIL situation, but is this the place for me? Yeah. That's where you really have to grow up and explore the place, see if it's really where you want to go. What can help you after you graduate.
And it also helps when you have guys that lead your recruiting classes like a CJ Carr, like a Drac Bowen, who when you ask them about NIL, they say, yeah, I got offered a ton of money to go to Bama or wherever. Yeah. But I look at it as, hey, you can offer me money, but I know for a fact I can still commit to a place that I know is right for me, and I can make NIL money wherever I go. And now it may not be $5 million, but for me to be in the right place and me to be happy for 5 years, 4 years of my playing career, is that worth $500,000 less or whatever less? Yeah. Because you know what? Not only am I getting the money that I can use to help support me and give back to my family, but I'm also happy and I'm content where I'm at. And it helps when you talk to other guys that Notre Dame's going after, and you have guys like a CJ Carr that can talk to these recruits and say, hey, where's your head at, man? Because I went through the same thing as you did. And it really does help, like when you have those guys leading your class. I'm glad that we do have the guys we do.
Now, let me ask you guys this. In my opinion, I think there needs to be a limit on what guys can do with the NIL.
What, like spending it on?
No, like how much they make and stuff. And what they're able to do.
The thing is, the NCAA is not going to be the one to do anything about it. They're just kind of sitting right now and just keeping a blind eye to it.
Because I've said this. Well, I mean, and they can't do anything anyway because it's legal.
Well, look what USC's doing, man. I mean, USC literally was caught tampering with Jordan Addison, and that nothing's going to happen to USC. I mean, they're not going to get in trouble, even though Pittsburgh literally said that he hadn't even entered the transfer portal yet, and he was getting calls from Lincoln Riley telling him to go to the portal and come to USC because they'll give him $3 million.
Yeah, that's a little too much.
That's really literally that's NFL free agency at that point. It's like,
yep.
You can't even do. If I'm not mistaken, you can't even do that in the NFL. You can't call another player on a different team that is under contract and offer them money to leave in the offseason. I don't believe you can do that.
The office can't, but obviously players can talk amongst one another.
Yes,
but no.
But when Lincoln Riley's doing it,
administration, coaching staff, they can't do that. No. What I'm getting at is you've got some of these guys, like I think some of the Texas A&M guys, I think there was one kid that was making like $8 or $9 million bucks.
Oh,
it's like, do you really want to put that much money in the hands of an 18-year-old kid? No,
that money's going to be gone. That money will be gone because I know what I was like as an 18-year-old kid.
Me too.
If you told me I got $9 million with how much of an idiot I was at 18, I'd be having Lamborghinis everywhere, man.
Well, and it's not just being foolish with how you spend your money. It's, what kind of trouble could he face? Could somebody jump you? Like, give me this much money, and him getting beat up or whatever. People trying to scam him. I mean, the majority of 18-year-olds don't know how to deal with that stuff. I mean,
And especially when you're giving these kids money while they're still in high school. I remember Bryce Young got $2 million from Alabama's Booster Club, and he was still 16 years old in high school.
and if I'm not mistaken, you know how they did that? They gave it to a church charity, and then he gave it to them, and then they gave it to him.
So it wasn't like, oh, we weren't paying him; the church was paying.
Oh, there's always even before the NIL, there was always ways that you could get away with that shit. Just back in the day, the Southern Methodists, they were just stupid enough to get caught.
Well, you know, Jimbo knows all about it. I mean, what was it when he had that whole feud with Nick Saban earlier in the year? And he's like, yeah, guess what? You want me to really tell everybody your closet or your skeleton's in the closet, Nick? Because you're giving me crap for paying recruits, but we're doing it now because it's legal. You were doing it when it wasn't. So you can't give me crap.
Craig's comment here is really interesting. You really think Oregon is really going to be a threat and Saban won't be at Bama forever?
I think Oregon's going to be really good the next couple of years. They're recruiting really well as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've always been a big brand too. So I mean, even
kids
though
fall in love with those uniforms,
it's the human Sprite cans, man. Human Sprite cans. I swear to God, every time I watch Oregon play, it's like I'm watching a bunch of Sprite cans running across the screen.
It hurts my eyes sometimes when they wear those highlighter green and yellow. It's like
that's what I'm talking about. They look like Sprite cans.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like what they do with the pink though, because having a family member that's gone through breast cancer, I do appreciate that they do that every year. It's a cool little concept, and not many college teams do the whole breast cancer thing anymore, which I think is kind of stupid. You don't even really see it in the NFL anymore, where guys would wear pink gloves, pink.
Well, I wouldn't buy it from the NFL anyway, because none of that money actually goes to breast.
No, I don't. I'm not saying buying it, but I'm saying like
no,
guys used to wear that stuff, and it's like now they can't. Like, is that really that big of an issue, NFL, that you don't want guys wearing
no fun league
stuff? Yeah. Like, what if you mean to tell me that if I was in the NFL and I got a family member battling breast cancer, I can't wear pink cleats? I can't wear a pink mouthpiece or pink gloves? Like, who are you to tell me I can't do that?
Oh, well, I don't want to get political here, but I remember the Dallas Cowboys when there was that situation in, I think, Houston, where police officers got killed. The NFL said they weren't allowed to wear a patch showing a commemoration to them.
Yeah. Yeah. The NFL's the no fun league.
Yeah. Well,
that's why we have the USFL and XFL.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Really. No, everyone watching, all 9 of you or however many officially are out there watching this, watch the USFL and the XFL, especially
it's going to be so fun.
Because Ben and I covered it, and I don't know how much you saw of it, Ryan, but we covered the USFL last year in its inaugural season.
Well, we did the XFL while they were going, but then they eventually.
I was a Tampa Bay Bandits fan, and now I don't even have a team anymore. They changed us to the
Memphis Showboats.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, what the hell is that? Like, I want the Bandits. I want to play #bandit ball, man. Like that was.
well, I see. I've heard that they're looking to eventually bring back the Bandits.
So, yeah, that was my favorite team. I just loved their whole design, their whole like logo thing, and like their whole like statement. #bandit ball. Like that's one of the best hashtags I've ever seen.
Well, I picked when they announced that this league was coming back. I picked my favorite team, the Houston Gamblers, because in the original USFL that started back in the early 80s, I don't know if you knew that league was originally around.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back then they actually tried to go head to head with the NFL. And that's where I think it's smart now, is that they're not trying to go head to head. They're just trying to be their own separate thing.
I feel like the XFL and USFL should combine, because I feel like that would, with the resources the Rock has, and if you had, that would be what, like a 8-6. You would have a 14-team league. I don't know. That'd be fun. It'd be cool if they did that.
Well, they actually have 8 teams apiece, so it'd be a 16.
Oh, it's a 16 team. For some
Yeah.
reason, I thought they had 6.
You could
Oh,
do
we're
it like the
thinking-
original Super Bowl. Both teams that are the quote unquote winner of their
leagues.
league
Go-to.
play each
Yeah.
other. That'd be fun.
But the thing is, there's some slightly different rules between the XFL.
Yeah,
and the
I mean, and
USFL.
you could like tweak some stuff, but I think it would. I still think that
I think it would be cool if they could get the CFL in on it because, like, if you combine, I know the XFL was talking about combining with the CFL originally, but I don't know. That'd be so cool to do.
Did you ever hear Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco's comments on the CFL? Dude, he was talking about it. He was like, I can't say everything he said because I'll get myself in trouble, but he basically said those dudes that play in the CFL, he goes, they're just as good as the NFL guys. You know, they just aren't as noticed as much. He goes, I was really blown away at how good everybody was up there and stuff and all that. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Hey, you know what? You know how many good Canadian players go to college and like what Chase Claypool was from Canada?
Yep.
There's a lot of great players from Canada, but yeah, I don't know who I'm going to root for this USFL season.
Well, I said that I'm a Houston Gamblers fan, and the reason that I'm a Gamblers fan is because the Gamblers were one of the original teams back in the 80s, and I like them because they were the team that Jim Kelly spurned the NFL for.
Really?
Jim Kelly, when he was drafted in 83 by the Buffalo Bills, he did not want to play in Buffalo. All right, because of the weather and stuff like that. He hated it. So somebody came in. This is actually interesting. I saw this on the From Elway to Marino ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. But when he was in the office ready to sign his rookie deal with the Bills, a secretary called in, or somebody, the general manager. What was he, the owner or the general manager of some team in the USFL? But he called the Buffalo offices and, hey, 2164, thanks for showing up, man. We appreciate it. But they called the Buffalo offices. A secretary at the Bills office interrupted the meeting and said, hey, to Jim Kelly's agent, there's a phone call that you have to take. And it was the guy from the USFL saying, hey, come talk. And Jim Kelly walked out of the room, and he ends up signing with the USFL, with the Houston Gamblers.
Just that he was that stuck on not wanting to go to Buffalo.
Yes. He didn't want to play for Buffalo, didn't want to play for Minnesota, and didn't want to play for Green Bay.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know if you guys seen Jack Cohn got signed by an XFL team.
No, yeah, I did see that. I forget which one.
I can't exactly remember. I think it might have been the Vipers. It was somebody, but he's the backup quarterback for one of them.
So yeah, I did see. Oh yeah, the San Antonio Brahmas.
Yeah. I don't know who I'm going to be with the XFL. I was a Vipers fan in the original, but we sucked in the original XFL. So.
Well, Ben and I both agreed on the Battlehawks. We were Battlehawks all the way, but and my reason for that.
I used to be a Rams fan, so.
Oh no, I feel your pain. My whole family are Rams fans or Bears fans, so.
So.
Well, you see, my reason is there was no Chicago franchise in the XFL the second time around, so I'm like, I want to try to keep it regional here, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's just go Battlehawks. A part of me thought about one of the two Texas teams, like the Dallas Renegades or the Houston Roughnecks. And I almost thought about Houston because they had a logo similar to the old Houston Oilers.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Roughnecks, and then I thought of like, what is a roughneck? I was thinking like, what is that? Somebody that's got like a sore neck. No, I was joking, but
okay. I
was like, what is it? Somebody with a we got a sore neck or something, working too hard. But no, man,
that's the nickname they give for oil drillers.
I was sitting there because like this year, I'm like, oh, I want to be a Vipers fan. And then I seen who they drafted at quarterback, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, you guys got some pretty questionable guys at quarterback. Ben DiNucci being one. So, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, the Guardians, like, I was looking at the uniforms, and I'm like, because usually, like, the USFL and the XFL I'd go, who has the coolest uniforms? And then I would pick by that because I love unis. And I was like, oh, the
Right.
Guardians have really good uniforms. And then I seen, oh, they drafted DeAndre Francois as their quarterback. And I'm like, no, I'm good, man. Like,
Well,
I don't know where that guy's been for like the past 6 years, but
well, you saw who our quarterback is, right? For St. Louis,
oh yeah,
AJ
God.
McCarron.
Yeah. And I thought he was retired.
He beat us up
From the NFL.
in the 2013 national championship. He kicked our ass.
Yeah. But hasn't he been retired from like the NFL? Hasn't he been working for like SEC Network or something like that?
I thought it was
You
something.
pulled
like
him
that.
out of
I don't know.
retirement, man.
Craig says the original stars, the Philadelphia Stars in the USFL, were led by Jim Mora and quarterback Chuck Fuzina.
Hey, the Philadelphia Stars should have won the USFL championship this past year if their quarterback don't get hurt.
And that was a good game.
That was a really good game.
That was a really good game.
And you got so many people saying that, like, oh, this league can't sell to people. It can't sell. It won't do good. That stadium was a packed house in Canton.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I get it. It's not going to show much because they played everything in a bubble last year, not because of COVID, but because they wanted to establish a fan base first. Well, now there's 3 cities that they're going to be playing in this year, 3 hub cities.
Well, I'm gonna be. I watched all of the games when they were on. When there's no football, I watch anything. So.
And there were some good games. I mean, there were some maybe not all of it was NFL talent because
some of them were really bad. Like watching the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like beating your head up against a brick and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
The guys in this league are guys that you would probably pick in the 3rd round or later.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and you know what? It's like also I didn't like their Maulers head coach. That dude was a piece of garbage. I don't know if you guys seen what he did to that player. That he kicked him off the team because the waiter at the hotel was being rude and told him he wasn't allowed to eat anything else other than what the waiter told him he was allowed to eat.
And he said, I remember that.
He's like, so I can't have a slice of pizza? Like, because you got pizza right there. And he's like, nah, you can't have pizza. And then went and snitched on the coach, and the coach told him that we're cutting you because you were rude.
That's ridiculous. That was stupid.
It was a violation, quote-unquote violation of team rules.
Team rules.
Yeah, team rules. No slice of pizza. No, okay, you got curfew. You got to be back in your room this time.
It's just one of those guys that you know he's a hard ass and he thinks that he needs to run everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all worked with people like that.
Oh, yes.
But I mean, the bottom line is the USFL is a good league, and I think it could do some good things here. Just like I said, yeah, they were in one hub city last year, which I get people didn't like, and I understand why. But now they're in 3 this year. I think that Memphis, Birmingham still, and then
I'm thinking about going to a couple at least because their tickets aren't bad at all to go. So
no, it's like I think $10.
Yeah, and you get to take the whole in the family too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I hope we see. I do hope we see some more fans in the stands for these games. I do, and I think it. What is it after this year? They're going to try to get teams to all their cities.
Yeah, they're trying to set up places in Tampa Bay, and which I guess that's the reason why they moved the Bandits from the USFL is because the XFL already had a contract signed in Tampa for the only stadium that's available, and that's for the Vipers. So therefore, the Bandits would not have anywhere to play.
Yeah, I mean, I know one thing you definitely need to look at for these leagues is you got to try to really find soccer stadiums, and obviously we know college stadiums, but for other alternatives, you got to try to look at soccer stadiums and baseball.
I don't know why they couldn't. Like, you could name yourself the Tampa Bay Bandits, but you could play in like Boca Raton or something like that. It's like nobody's really gonna as long as you're in Florida.
Yeah,
and you're within proximity.
Lots of teams there do that actually.
Yeah, it's
more
like
than you would think.
It's like the New York Jets aren't actually in New York.
Well, the Jets and Giants are both in New Jersey.
Yeah,
the Buffalo Bills are the only team that's in New York.
Like if that's why I was so mad. I'm like, you guys could have had the Tampa Bay Bandits play at the FAU field, like Florida Atlantic's football field. What is Florida Atlantic doing when it's not football season? Like you can't tell me that their stadium's going to be being used.
No,
Yeah.
of course.
Like,
I thought a good place that would fit for the Houston Gamblers would be Minute Maid Field.
yeah.
But Ben made a good point about that though when we were talking about that one other time is okay, these are spring leagues, baseball is going to be underway.
Well,
yeah.
And the other thing is I do believe they still have that one part of the outfield that's like raised up.
Well, actually, Ben, I know I told you this, but I actually called Minute Maid Field. I called someone who was like a representative for the Houston Astros, and I asked them, I'm like, sir, I'm not being a wise guy here. I'm just doing like a little survey question, and I just want to get some information. Could Minute Maid? I know Minute Maid Field has never hosted a football game, but does Minute Maid Park have the capacity to host a football game if they wanted to? And the guy said, yes, we do.
You know what else?
So I was really curious. If I'm curious about something, I'm going to call the source.
Why couldn't the Roughnecks play at the Houston Cougars field? I mean, or the Alamo Dome if you want a dome. I mean, UTSA's got a pretty nice setup.
And,
Well, I thought the Roughnecks were already playing at the University of Houston.
I didn't know if they were or not. I'm not too sure.
I thought they were. I could be wrong, but I thought they were.
Okay, then they might be.
I don't know.
Well, you know what? That's what we have Google for. Let's bring this up, guys.
But anyway, guys, I do have to go here pretty soon.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I got a thing I got to leave here in
Well, I tell you what.
minutes to get there.
I tell you what. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll call it quits. How about that?
Yeah, because the stream's
And plus, I'm getting a little hungry, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, it's dinner time.
Yeah, I'm going. I got to go to a movie with my wife and my kids. So
what are you seeing?
They want to go see that Disney movie.
Oh,
Strange World, whatever.
That's pretty good.
So,
all right, let's see here. So wait, am I looking up the XFL or the USFL?
It would be the XFL.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an idiot. All these teams, it's hard to keep track of. Damn.
Well, even if you wanted to, like, if the Houston Roughnecks are playing in the Houston's field, the Houston Gamblers could play at UTSA. Like, I mean.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Houston Roughnecks Stadium, TD-ECU Stadium. So that's Houston's field, the University of Houston. And then let's see, the US.
How far is San Antonio from Houston? Is it pretty far?
I don't know.
I wouldn't think so. I thought it like. Oh God. Cats, man.
3 hours. Actually, 4. Yeah, 3 hours.
3 hours.
Well,
okay.
Actually, here it says 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Oh, Sean, come on, man.
San Antonio. Looking at San Antonio. San Antonio to Houston is a straight shot on I-10 West for 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Well, what about UTSA, like the campus? Are we going to calculate that too?
Okay, whatever.
I always, it's funny. I said Sam Houston State would be a good play too. People forget about that stadium.
Yeah.
They have their own, so yeah.
Craig says, "Do not go to that movie. It is not good for kids to watch."
Why is that?
What movie is this again?
Strange World.
Strange World.
I don't know.
It's a Disney movie, so I would assume it's good for kids. It's animated.
I don't know. I know Disney's been implementing a lot of
oh God, here we go.
Stuff in the
We didn't have to get it started.
I'm not. I'm just saying I think that's what he's getting at. I'm not going into a whole discussion over it. I don't know. It's like, are they having a kid fall in love with a dog or something? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Oh man.
But so the Roughnecks are playing at the University of Houston's field, and you said the Gamblers could play where?
Sam Houston State, or they could play at UTSA.
You know, Ben, I think you said Sam Houston State.
I did say that. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying.
That's
Like,
what
our one
yeah.
deal we did with that. Yeah.
What about where is SMU at?
Southern Methodist is
Dallas.
Dallas. Okay, is
Yeah,
Dallas
they're
closer
in
to
a suburb
Houston?
of Dallas. That's why them and TCU have the battle for the Iron Skillet because Fort Worth is real close to Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I thought Minute Maid Park could be a good place for the gamblers to play.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
I
want
don't
to be
I
careful, man. They got people with binoculars spying.
Bill Belichick.
All right. Listen, I want these leagues to succeed, but let me just say this: if you're spying for a USFL game, there's something seriously wrong with you. And I just say that because it's a good league, but I'm just saying it's not on the same level.
Hey, man, if you're not trying to win, what are you doing?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Oh wow!
I don't know. This is a perfect place to end the stream. This is perfect.
Yeah, but all I know. Let me just say one last thing. There's a number of options where you could put these teams, and I think there's a lot of places that would be very fitting. Like obviously St. Louis in the Dome for the Battlehawks. There's no St. Louis in the USFL, but that's the Dome is perfect for the Battlehawks. Geez, maybe this should be.
Why wouldn't you have the Houston Gamblers just move them to Las Vegas? That way, the name makes sense with the venue.
Or you just swap names.
Yeah, you could have them play at Allegiant Stadium where they have legit on-site betting at the stadium.
All right. Well, you know what? I tell you what. We should. The three of us should do this for another show or a live stream, whatever.
USFL versus XFL.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Locations.
We do XFL and USFL locations, and where do you think they would be
put expansion too? We could talk about who else should be a good host city.
Seattle would be a cool one. That's pretty far up there.
How about Missoula, Montana? Or just make the North Dakota State Bison a pro team.
Yeah, pretty much. Have a team in Maine. I don't know.
Okay, let's see how about some podunk town in the Midwest? Just give them a team.
Geneva, Illinois. The Geneva, I don't know.
The Geneva Generics.
Yeah, there we go.
But no, I think we should seriously do that. A live stream where we go over all the teams in both leagues and where we think would be a good spot for them. The ones that don't have a home.
And we'd have to get like a spreadsheet or something pulled up.
Well, actually, I guess we couldn't really do the XFL because they already have their teams located. It'd have to be the remaining teams in the USFL that don't have a home, a home stadium.
Yep.
So I guess that's 5.
Hey, man, we could just add another USFL team in South Bend and play at Notre Dame Stadium. There we go.
There you go, the South Bend Shamrocks.
Yeah, there we go.
But Craig says you couldn't do that. I think that's too much trademark.
That sounds like a Madden create a team. The South Bend Shamrocks. There we go.
You know, I didn't know this with the Madden games, but in franchise mode, I didn't know that teams would move and change their names and shit.
You have to enable it, but yeah, if you don't keep up on the stadium and all this other stuff, make hot dogs too overpriced for the fans, then yeah, they basically just pick up and move. It'll be stupid because they'll be like, your team has moved because the hot dog sales were too expensive. I'm not joking.
Because a friend of mine did a franchise mode, and there was I forget which team it was. I think it was the New York Giants that moved to London and became London.
The London,
something crazy.
That's interesting.
But no, that's our assignment for the next time we get together. The remaining 5 teams in the USFL, where do you place them? What stadium?
And you know what? Then when we have the South Bend Shamrocks, here come the Shamrocks, baby.
Yes.
There you go.
All right. Well, guys, I think this is a good place to end it.
I did want to say really quick before I hop off. Go ahead and check out my channel, Week Zero Productions.
Yes.
We are 5 subscribers away from the 100 subs mark. So that would be huge if you guys could go over there and give us some likes, give us those, get us to that mark. We just had 5 Points Vids on. He's a big NFL YouTuber, Auburn fan as well. So it was huge to have him on. So if you guys want to go check that out as well, talked everything Championship Saturday. So yeah. Also be on the lookout for on Monday night the best of Championship Saturday video that I'll be releasing Monday night. So yeah, if you guys like that stuff, go ahead and check out Week Zero Productions on YouTube and give us some love over there.
Absolutely. Everybody make sure to do that. And before I forget, Ben and I are still working on the prizes for our giveaway. We haven't forgotten about that.
Yep.
We've had a lot going on, and we're still trying to figure out for sure what to do. And I know, Ben, you've still been working on our new logo.
Yep.
When you get the chance. But hey, family life and work and all that stuff, I'm sure you guys can understand watching that we're just like the rest of you. We're working people. We have other stuff we got to take care of first.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Ben showed me the design that he has in mind, and I think it looks pretty cool.
I'd love to see it. Love to see it.
Oh, you will see it eventually. He showed me.
Hey, I'll need it. I'll need it for when I make the thumbnail, so I'll need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys know Ryan here started making most of our thumbnails and whatnot. So, but yeah, so just be on the lookout for that stuff. But we haven't forgotten about the giveaway. We're just trying to put stuff together for it. Yep. And again, the new logo looks pretty nice. Ben showed me an outline. It's pretty cool. So, all right, guys. Well, I guess that's a wrap.
Yep.
And it was nice being on this Saturday to talk with you guys on Championship Saturday. And
nice to finally meet you, Ben. It was great talking football with you.
Dude.
Yep.
Wasn't he as ugly as I told you?
Yeah, man.
I never told him.
Who are you talking to, Sean? Because I think you were calling us both ugly, man. I think he's been like going back and forth between us, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can't trust Sean, man.
I'm playing my game. Didn't you freaking know that? Like, hey, Ryan, Ben, shit, I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything good. No, not at all. Just I know, Ryan, you've been a big help with the streams on Thursday nights, and obviously, Ben, you work during the week, so it was nice of you to allow Ryan to do that. So,
yeah, of course. Yep.
So, hey, we're all about building brands here, people.
Yep.
Whether it's Week Zero Productions or our show here, let's build those brands. Build them up, baby.
Yep.
Build together, man.
So yeah, like I said, it was great here to be talking with both of you guys, and Ben and I have been doing this for 2 years. So Ryan, welcome aboard, and all I can say is let's do the regular outro. With that said, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And I am Ryan, Week Zero Productions for Vel.
And as we always say on this channel, to all of you, good night, God bless, and go Irish.
Go Irish.